Start recording. Stop recording. Button.
Hello YouTube. This is Lachlan T 1984 from Melbourne, Australia. It's been quite a while since I did my last YouTube video, but I'm back again. Today I want to talk about what you can see on the bench there in front of me, the Google Home Mini. I just bought this 2 days ago with some money that I got for Christmas, also at the aid of a gift card. The recommended retail price for the Google Home Mini is $79 Australian dollars. JB Hi-Fi have had a sale over Christmas where they were selling them for $55. Officeworks were selling them for $48. I bought my Google Home from JB Hi-Fi and they were happy to match the price that Officeworks were selling it for. I'm recording this video on Saturday the 30th of December 2017. I don't know as of today whether that deal is still in existence or not. I've been wanting to get an Amazon Echo for quite some time now, at least since late 2015. They're still not available in Australia at the moment, but I understand they may become available next year in Australia. As it is, Amazon just opened up a warehouse in Dandenong South, in the southeastern suburbs of Melbourne. If the Echo does become available here, I'll be very happy. But in the meantime, the Google Home is definitely worth considering. A friend of mine bought a Google Home, the standard model, quite a few months ago now. I know I had to play with it. I was quite impressed with it. And I'm also quite impressed with this one. Naturally, the Google Home Mini does the same things as the standard Google Home in a slightly smaller package. I've only had the Google Home to play with for 2 days, so I can't give you a full review of the product, but I can give you my first impressions. When I first got it out of the box and set it up, I actually used it as a Bluetooth speaker with my iPhone. I use Apple Music on the iPhone to listen to streaming music. I was able to control my iPhone's music player to some extent with the Google Home Mini. It does seem to support Bluetooth AVRC. I think that's the profile that they call it. I believe AVRC stands for Audio Video Remote Control, and it allows you to do things like play and pause media and go back and forwards through tracks or selections, and also adjust the volume. And that did work. I was able to control my iPhone's media player by voice. Subsequently to doing that though, I have subscribed to Google Play Music and thus to YouTube Red. Actually, I'm doing a 2-month trial of the service. The sound quality of the Google Home Mini, in my opinion, is quite good for a device its size. I have not had direct experience with the Amazon Echo Dot yet, which is the Google Home Mini's closest competitor, but from the samples that I have heard, it sounds like the Google Home Mini does sound quite a lot better than the Amazon Echo Dot, which, as far as I can tell, sounds like the loudspeaker you'd find in the iPhone or in a cheap Kmart brand clock radio that you might have bought for $15 back in the 1980s. I mostly use the Google Home Mini for playing music, and I'll just quickly demonstrate that. I won't really go into details about that because I don't think I really need to. But anyway, okay Google, play Blue Sky Mine by Midnight Oil.
Okay, Blue Sky Mine by Midnight Oil. Here it is on Google Play Music.
Okay Google, stop. Alright. And of course you can do all the sort of classic, standard, gimmicky, quirky things that you might do with these virtual assistants. Okay Google, make me a sandwich.
I think you mean a sausage sanger.
Oh, that was interesting. And you'll notice it said sanger. That's an Australian slang expression for sandwich. Okay Google, make me a sandwich.
I think you mean a sausage sanger.
It normally doesn't say that. Normally it makes it sort of a wind chime type noise and then says poof, you're a singer. That's interesting. Okay, Google. I'm feeling hot.
Maybe you'd like to go swimming.
Now that's very interesting. Because normally what it says when I say that is don't forget to slip, slop, slap. Slip, slop, slap, for those of you who don't know, is a slogan created by the Anti-Cancer Council. It's a skin cancer awareness campaign that's been running for many, many, many years, since I'd say the 80s. Or very early 90s, possibly even longer. They call it slip, slop, slap. Slip on a t-shirt, slop on a hat. No, hang on. Slip on a t-shirt, slop on sunscreen, slap on a hat. And actually these days they say slip, slop, slap, slide. Slip on a t-shirt, slop on sunscreen, slap on a hat, slide on sunglasses. But you'll hear now it just said maybe you'd like to go swimming. I was messing about with the language settings earlier and I changed the language from Australian to US to UK English because I wanted to see if the responses differed. And they did. So that's interesting. I think the responses do differ depending on what language you have selected to some of the things it says. Some of the responses, especially that response, are a bit sort of stereotypical Australian culture. Then there's this one. Okay, Google. I'm feeling cold.
I'm Feeling Cold by D. Bridge Shaw, playing on Google Play Music.
Okay, Google. Stop. Okay, Google. I'm cold.
I found a few places within 9.8 kilometres. The first one is Box Hill Hospital at 8 Arnold Street in Box Hill.
Okay, Google.
The second...
Stop.
Got it. Cancelled.
Now that's very interesting. Normally what it would say is something like, oh, what did it say when my friend was demonstrating it to me? I think it said something like, put on a pair of tracksuit pants and have a cuppa. A cuppa being a cup of tea or a cup of coffee. And my friend didn't like that because she thought it was a bit stereotypical. By the way, I should have said earlier, please excuse the noise of the dishwasher in the background there. So, you know, there are those funny, quirky things you can do, which are not really very useful. They're just, you know, fun little gags and just fun. What I have found the Google Home useful for is when I get up in the morning, I'll ask it what the weather is, and then I ask it to play me the news while I'm getting my breakfast ready. Okay, Google, what's the weather?
Right now in Box Hill it's 19 degrees and mostly cloudy. The forecast for tonight is 17 and mostly cloudy.
Okay, Google, what's the latest news?
Here's the latest news. From ABC News, it's 6 p.m. today.
ABC News. I'm Brendan Arrow. One of the victims of last week's Flinders Street attack in Melbourne's CBD has died. After more than a week in hospital, 83-year-old Anton Kukaris passed away last night. His family say the circumstances were devastating and he was irreplaceable. They've thanked the people of Melbourne and emergency services, as well as the staff at the Alfred Hospital's intensive care unit. Victoria's Police Minister Lisa Neville says drunk drivers have overtaken drink drivers as the leading cause of accidents
Okay, Google,
and deaths on the...
stop. And that, I find that quite useful in the morning because sometimes I might get up after the hourly news bulletin on the radio. And so if I just want to listen to the news while I'm eating my breakfast, I just use this. I know you can change the news providers and things. I've just got the default setup, so I think currently it's getting news from the ABC, the Daily Telegraph, and I think it gets a brief news summary from the BBC. Excuse me. And actually, the other day, I think it might have been yesterday, I also had a brief news report from Sky News Australia, which was woefully out of date. I mean, like 2 weeks out of date. So that was a bit interesting. Now, of course, one of the things people really like about the Google Home and the Amazon Echo and some of these other home assistants is the ability to control various home automation devices and Internet of Things related devices. Internet of Things is something I have a very, very keen interest in. I have a Belkin Wemo switch connected to that lamp over in the corner there. I also have LifeX bulbs, 2 LifeX bulbs in this light up here, and another 3 bulbs in the light over the dining table over there. I can control them from my Google Home. I will say the control of home automation devices is a bit sluggish. For example, okay Google, turn off the lights.
Alright, turning 6 lights off.
Alright, and you see that it's just turned off all the lights. Okay Google, turn the lights on.
Sure, turning on 6 lights.
There are 3 LifeX bulbs in that lamp over the dining table. And just before I started recording this video, I noticed one of the bulbs wasn't actually working. I instructed the Google Home to turn the lights on, and it actually told me that dining room light 3 was not available, which I found very helpful. It told me that the light wasn't for some reason connected to the network. So I need to turn the lights off at the switch and then turn them back on, and now that bulb is working just fine. Just the whole thing of Wi-Fi networks being a bit flaky sometimes. Some of you will know that I'm legally blind. I can see a little bit, but I'm considered legally blind. When I use my iPhone, I use the VoiceOver screen reader. I'm happy to report that the Google Home app is completely accessible to VoiceOver users as far as I'm aware. So the Google Home is very much accessible to and usable by someone who's blind. And I know a lot of blind and vision impaired people really like the Amazon Echo and the Google Home and other products like it. Today I also tried running the Google Home off my USB power bank, and it did work. But you need to remember that the Google Home and the Amazon Echo Dot and other devices like that aren't designed to run on battery, so they have no battery management technology in them. It would be interesting to see how long the Google Home Mini would last on a fully charged battery. Because it uses micro USB, you can plug it into a power bank and use it on that. I don't know if Google would condone that kind of action, or would I don't know if they recommend it. I don't know what their stance is on people powering the Google Home Mini off USB power banks and things like that. I am, of course, just using the AC adapter that came with it. If you're listening to this, if you're watching this video and you're not wearing headphones and you have a Google Home, it may have been set off a few times during this video. And it's true. I mean, I listen to the Internet of Things podcast hosted by Stacey Higginbotham and Kevin Toffel. It's a really good podcast, by the way. I highly recommend it. I think Stacey Higginbotham also has a YouTube channel. I think it's called Stacey on IoT. I came across it one day. And they talk a lot about the Amazon Echo and Google Home and other home automation and Internet of Things related products. And they always have to avoid saying Alexa and OK Google, cancel. Because they know that those trigger words are going to set off other people's devices, because people might not be listening with headphones on. I typically do, but this morning I was watching a YouTube video by Multimedia J. He was talking about the Google Home Mini, and indeed, he was inadvertently, because I was listening just through the speakers in my computer, he was inadvertently activating my Google Home. So it's true that your device can be inadvertently activated by someone who may be recording an audio or video demonstration of the Google Home or Amazon Echo or whatever it happens to be. My computer is over the other side of the room to where I am now, but the Google Home's microphone was definitely picking it up. Oh, see, it just came up. That was interesting. I don't quite know.
Sorry, I don't know how to help with that yet.
I don't quite know why it did that. Those of you who have the Amazon Echo Dot will know that you can pair the Echo Dot with a Bluetooth speaker or connect it directly to another sound system via an audio cable, because the speaker in the Echo Dot isn't particularly good. In fact, I believe all the current Echo products can be connected to a Bluetooth speaker for audio playback on an external Bluetooth speaker, and I think even the Echo Plus and the new version 2 Amazon Echo also have an audio output. I don't think the Echo Show has one. And I'm not sure if the Echo Look can do audio transmission to another Bluetooth device. And I don't think it has an audio output, but I think the Echo Plus does. And I know, of course, the Echo Dot does. Because, as a lot of people will know, the audio quality in the Echo Dot's not very good, because it's just a very small device, and the speaker's not terribly powerful. With the Google Home Mini, if you want to play audio from it on another device, you'll need a Google Chromecast or Chromecast audio. So if I wanted to send audio from my Google Home to my stereo system, I would need a Google Chromecast audio. I kind of wish Google had gone with the same approach that Amazon took in that I wish they had just included an audio output on the back of the Google Home Mini. And considering that I'm subscribed to YouTube Red, I think it would be nice if I could just ask the Google Home to play a YouTube video and I could just get the audio coming out of the speaker. Now, for some videos that will be useless because they're so visual, but if you're listening to or watching a video of just a couple of people talking, maybe an interview or some kind of roundtable discussion, or a video where there's just a single presenter doing a lot of talking, it would be nice to have the audio playing through the Google Home, even if you don't have a Chromecast compatible device. But you can't. Okay, Google, play UXW build videos on YouTube.
I don't see any Chromecasts or cast-enabled TVs linked to your account. You can add devices in the Google Home app.
No, and I don't have a Chromecast. Actually, my younger brother just bought one the other day, and I think he's quite enjoying it. They're not very expensive. The Google Chromecast is quite cheap. I think the recommended retail price is about $59 Australian dollars. But I don't have one, and one of the main reasons why I don't have one, and one of the reasons why I don't particularly think that they're a very useful device, is because you have to use an iPhone or some other smartphone or tablet or laptop in order to really control the Google Chromecast. It's not like a device such as the Apple TV or Google Nexus Player, if that thing's still available, or the Amazon Fire TV products where you have a remote control, a dedicated remote control unit to control the device. You can't do that with the Google Chromecast. Another thing I don't really like about the Google Home is the fact that this top panel is touch sensitive. So if I want to pick the Google Home up and move it, it's sometimes been the case that I have accidentally touched the side of the unit here and adjusted the volume or stopped media playing. And it can be... See?
States roads.
I was just trying to manipulate the microphone switch here and I started it playing. And now I'm adjusting the volume.
The mic's off. The mic's back on.
So, I kind of wish it was possible to disable the touch-sensitive controls on the Google Home Mini. This isn't as big a problem with the standard Google Home, because of course the controls are on the top of that, and if you need to move the device, you can just pick it up by the base and move it, and of course the microphone on-off button is on the back. And it's fairly easy to find it without having to touch the top of the device. At the moment, the Google Home Max isn't available in Australia as I understand it. I would like to try them out. I understand the Google Max has quite a nifty feature where you can group two Google Home Max speakers together and use them as individual left and right stereo speakers. And that would be fantastic if you're wanting to replace an existing audio system. I think the Google Home Max is really going to compete with the upcoming Apple HomePod and the Sonos speakers, which I've had no experience with, but I know the Sonos speakers have a feature which allows you to group speakers together and have them act as a stereo pair of speakers, which I think is quite a good idea. I don't believe this kind of stereo pairing feature is available on the Google Home Mini or the regular Google Home. I wonder if it's possible for Google to roll those features out to these devices later on down the track, because of course they're always releasing firmware updates. Another thing that I've discovered that I actually quite like about the Google Home Mini is that you actually do have quite fine-grained volume control. On first glance, you might think that the volume control is quite limited since it can go from 1 to 10. But actually, you have slightly more fine-grained control than that. To do this, I'm going to have to play something. Okay, Google, play ABC Grandstand.
Playing Australian Broadcasting Corporation on iHeartRadio.
What he wanted, it was wide of the post.
Oh, I tell you what.
Now, as I say,
Don't know whether that
okay,
was that.
Google, Volume 2. It's going to be very difficult for me to demonstrate this, but actually, in order to get more fine-grained control of the volume, you can actually use percentage numbers to control the volume. So, I could say to it, okay, Google, set the volume to 35%.
Nichols has got Keogh and Castro behind him. Goes back instead to Harold, is making a run to join the attack. Surging down towards the line.
Okay, Google,
Challenge on him there.
set the volume to 43%.
From the right, Nichols goes across to take it. Down in front of the cove at the moment.
Okay, Google, volume 29%.
Takes his pick of which one he wants, and then Nichols actually trots back off into the penalty area now.
Okay, Google, volume 3.
Rival of Milos Ninkovic for the Johnny Warren medal last year.
And you'll hear that you might be able to hear that it's slightly louder than it was previously.
Hooks it downfield, cushioned header on now to Bobo.
Now, this is the reason why I find this to be a very good feature. I like to listen to the radio when I'm in bed at night, and I like to have the volume down very low so it doesn't keep me awake. If I say, okay Google, volume 1. Now, that's very quiet, but I would actually like it a bit quieter when I'm in bed listening to the radio. So if I say, okay Google, volume 1%, it is actually noticeably quieter. So that's very good. You actually do have quite fine-grained volume control if you set the volume using percentage rather than just the numbers 1 to 10. Okay, Google, volume 4.
This time for Bross, left hand into the penalty area.
Okay, Google,
Into the middle of
stop. Now, I discovered completely by chance that it could do that. because I asked it yesterday what the volume was set at, and I believe it said the volume was set to 50%, and so I got the idea into my head that maybe I have slightly more fine-grained control over the volume, and it turns out you do. I hope this is also available on the Amazon Echo, because I think that's important, especially if you do like listening to music at night when you're going to sleep, and you don't want the music to be too loud that it keeps you awake, and not being able to turn the volume down any lower than 1 is for me a potential problem. But now I know I can do that. Anyway, these are my first impressions of the Google Home Mini. I am overall delighted with it. I think it was a fantastic purchase, and I hope to get many years of useful service out of it. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them down below. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and thanks for watching. Bye for now, everyone.
Stop recording. Stop recording. Button. Stop recording. Stop recording. Stop recording.
Epic fail. It won't stop recording. Why won't it stop recording?
Stop recording. Stop recording.